Coming up on Let's Get to the Points.
Tonight we are following up on one of our recent shows where we talked about where to start in this world of credit card points and miles.
I'm going to start off today by telling you what to do until you have acquired enough points to plan these aspirational trips.
What I really wanted to focus on for us tonight is talking about American Express, because a lot has changed with them over the years.
I'm going to expand on using points and miles for family travel for 4 or more people.
As a beginner, the easiest way to redeem points for travel is going through your bank's travel portal. But when you start learning about the different transfer partners that each bank has, that's where you could really get some outsized value.
And now, let's get to the points. She loves traveling luxuriously for a fraction of the cost. It's Serena. He embraces every travel experience, and he proves adventure is found everywhere. It's Miguel. She teaches you and your family to travel on a budget while indulging in a little bit of occasional luxury. It's Nicole. And he loves using his points to fly some of the world's best airlines in first class. It's Mitch Shannon.
Hi there and welcome, and thank you for joining us on Let's Get to the Points video and audio podcast, where we bring you the very best in tips and tricks in the world of miles, points, and travel. I'm Mitch Shannon, and I am joined by my co-hosts who love traveling the world with their families using their credit card points and miles. First up, she's currently offering master classes in how to advocate for yourself. It's Serena.
Hi, everyone.
He enjoys his first class caviar with a side of duck. That's Lufthansa first class rubber duck, of course. It's Miguel.
Hey, what's up?
And her current medal count is right around 3 platinum cards and 2 gold business cards. Is that right? It's Nicole.
Sounds about right. Hi, guys. How are you?
Please help us out. Click that subscribe button now below to our YouTube channel, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you watch or listen. Also, give us a like and leave us a comment below and tell us what you think about our show. Are you ready? Let's do it. Let's get to the points. Tonight, we are following up on one of our recent shows where we talked about where to start in this world of credit card points and miles and travel. And that show did really well, and we received a lot of comments and requests asking us to make part 2. And after our little jaunt around the world in Q Suite Quad together, we are actually going to follow up on that right now. So just to briefly recap, and we're going to link to that show right here. Miguel, can I get a fancy hand modeling demonstration of where that link is going to be? So people... Yeah.
Last time you did this.
Yeah. A little more fancy. Yeah, there you go. That link right there. Miguel's got it in his hand. He's showing you where to click and watch back to that first episode. So we started at the very beginning of where you might want to start if you're new to credit card points and miles. And I think we did a really good job at that, laying out some great guides for you, some starting points. We really walked you through a couple of the pitfalls, took a deep dive into the world of Chase and why 524 is important to most of us. And we finally talked about what we would do if we could start over again and what we would do differently. So it was a really good episode. If you haven't watched it, maybe go back, watch it, then come back here. It's okay. Go ahead. No problem. We're happy to wait for you while you go watch. So go watch. We'll wait. Oh, hey, I look better. Welcome back. Hopefully you were able to watch the episode and you actually enjoyed it. And I say, guys, we just pick up right where we left off. And who remembers exactly where we left off in that first part?
No clue.
Well, there's that.
Nicole does. Nicole remembers.
Yes, Nicole. I think you started last time, right?
I did. And my job was to make sure to keep you under 524 so you could stay at amazing heights, just like this one. I'm going to start off today by telling you what to do until you have acquired enough points to plan these aspirational trips that Miguel talked about in our last episode. So the whole concept of credit card points and miles is for you to change your spending from a debit card or using cash to continue to spend on a credit card to earn a massive bonus at the end of a given period and earn a certain stated amount of bonus points. So here are some ideas that you can use to utilize the benefits until you get the points to make these aspirational trips. So let's say you still want to travel. You could use a credit card to purchase fares on low-cost carriers. For example, we can book flights on Spirit. Spirit is an international carrier. You could fly to Puerto Rico, you could fly to Jamaica, El Salvador, enjoy all of these benefits of a new country while earning points towards your minimum spend on the way to the Maldives. How do you feel about that, Mitch?
Oh, I love it.
Fly Spirit until you get to the Maldives. Would you be okay with that?
No, not going to happen.
Okay, well, Spirit is not the only option. So another option to fly to Europe is Norse Airlines. Norse flies from several locations in the US to Germany. It also flies to London. And we purchase Norse airline flights from Fort Lauderdale to Berlin, Germany for only $350 round trip. So you can enjoy a beautiful European vacation before you even earn the points to say, maybe you want to travel to Italy with Serena and her family. Maybe you want to go to Bali with Mitch. Miguel, where would you like them to go after they earn the points with you? What aspirational place would you say?
I would pick Japan 10 out of 10 times. So I would say Japan.
So one option, use your minimum spend to book flights on low-cost carriers. Now, here are some other benefits that you can enjoy. You can use the lounges. Let's say, for example, the card you're working a minimum spend on is the Capital One Venture X. That card has access to the Capital One lounges and a lot of priority pass lounges at the airport. Even before you earn those points to go on these aspirational trips, you can enjoy luxury at the airport and you won't have to sit at the gate with the commoners. Right, Serena?
That's right. Who wants to stay with the commoners?
No one. We're not peasants. All right, here's another benefit of the cards that you can use before you earn your points that will make you feel just as fancy in the lounge. It's TSA PreCheck and Global Entry. These will help you fly through security on your way out of the country or when you return to fly through immigration. Clear is another option if you're working on a minimum spend for, let's say, the American Express Platinum card. You can also take advantage of the cell phone protection. The cell phone protection covers your phone for lost or damage up to a certain amount. And I have used this benefit before. I have teenagers and they're always cracking the screen on their phone. Depending on the credit card you use, they will replace up to a certain amount if your cell phone is broken or stolen. So I'm here in Paris at the Olympics, and you know I love a lounge, and one of the benefits I got to enjoy while on this trip in Paris is the Chase Sapphire Lounge on the Seine River. This lounge is absolutely gorgeous. It was worth every dollar that I spent on that annual fee. They gave you this beautiful tote bag along with this fabulous water bottle. They fed you. There was beautiful scenery in Paris. You got to see the boats going by on the river. The service was amazing and the environment was just perfect. A lot of these cards come with special events. Miguel is always talking about Marriott moments. Chase has a couple experiences and every now and then you can find some with the other cards. After experiencing this one in Paris during the Olympics, I will be on the lookout for many of these special events that are coming up. Now, if you don't have the Chase Sapphire Reserve, but you have the Chase Sapphire Preferred, they offer a $50 hotel credit if you book a hotel in their travel portal. On this trip to Turkey, I was able to use that $50 benefit to get us an airport hotel. Since we had an early morning departure, this worked out perfectly. My hotel was only $70 for all four of us. And with the $50 credit, we ended up only paying $20. I'll tell you about that hotel another time. It was a good deal. It was a good deal. So jumping on another hotel benefit, if you have the Amex Platinum, you can take advantage of the Fine Hotels and Resorts credit. This gives you $200 off the specified Fine Hotels and Resort or the hotel collection. If you're staying a minimum of 2 nights, you can also get $200 off. We used this benefit last year when we went to New Zealand and stayed at the Park Hyatt in Auckland. I think Serena was very proud of me for that stay. Now, if it's a Amex Fine Hotels and Resort, you only need to stay 1 night, which is what we did when we stayed at Park Hyatt Auckland. The City Premier also has a credit. They offer you $100 off a $500 stay every calendar year. Mitch, this Chase Sapphire Lounge here in Paris was amazing. You have unlimited entry. We got this beautiful water bottle. The food was amazing, and my kids had tons and tons of pistachio ice cream.
Sounds delicious. Nicole, I am really jealous of your entrance into that Chase Lounge because that's a cool water bottle. It looks like you had a really good time.
We had a blast.
So good job walking everyone through the benefits and some of the perks that they get with the cards, especially getting into that Chase Lounge like that. That's a huge perk. And that water bottle, that's a really nice water bottle too. What I really wanted to focus on for us tonight is talking about American Express, because a lot has changed with them over the years. And it seems like every time I turn around, they've got some new rule or policy that has come into play. I think what's really important for you to focus on these days is the new rule that they have, and it's called the American Express Family Language. And they started rolling this out back around 2023, and it seems to have moved to different brands of cards. So let me explain to you what it really is. The Family Language rule means that in some cases, you will not be eligible for a welcome bonus on a new card if you have or you've had one of these other cards in that family before. For example, let's say there's a really good sign-up offer for the American Express Green Card. Now, in addition to all the application rules that you have to follow, they've added that you may not be eligible to receive the welcome offer if you have or you've had this card before. That includes the Platinum card, the different versions of the Platinum card, and the Gold card as well. Basically, it boils down to having other family versions of American Express cards now or in the past can make you ineligible for a welcome bonus on that card. Now, there are exceptions to this rule, and one of the exceptions is called the No Lifetime Language, or we call it NLL for short. So basically, here's how it works. American Express will target you for a specific card or offer, and this is like finding the golden goose with American Express, meaning maybe you've already had that card, you've gotten this offer from them in the past. American Express really likes you at this point, and they're giving you an opportunity to get that card and get that welcome offer again. Now, it's very important that you follow the link or offer code that they send, because going outside of those is going to cause some problems, and you're most likely not going to get the sign-up offer if you do. So make sure that you pay attention to the details of these NLLs if you get one of these. All right, so I've been fortunate enough to get a couple of these NLLs over my time. I'm curious, have you guys ever had any LLLs, and any advice that you can offer on that?
I think we've all had NLLs on the business platinum cards. I know we've all had multiple cards, even at the same time. So yeah, mostly with the business platinum, I've got a few of those cards.
Airing our dirty secrets, aren't you, Miguel?
Yeah, I've gotten a couple on the business gold also, both my husband and I. I love those because the annual fee is a lot less. And in terms of ratio, you get about the same, point per dollar spent on those.
The math is mathing.
The math is mathing. People might not know that you can have the same card simultaneously and multiples of this card. For example, you can have 2 Amex Business Platinum at the same time. You can have 2 Amex Business Gold at the same time. In fact, you could have all 4 of them at one time.
Speaking from experience, I see.
A little bit of expensive experience. But what you need to understand is make sure you plan accordingly for this minimum spend. It's not just okay to apply for the card and open the card. You have to have a plan to meet the minimum spend.
And these NLL offers, they don't just come with the cards with annual fees. Recently, in July, the no annual fee Hilton card had a very special welcome bonus where you got points and a free night certificate. And so we need more free night certificates in our family. And my mom already has the no annual fee Hilton card, but I found an NLL offer for her and she got another one. We have more Hilton points and another free night certificate coming our way. One of the ways that you can find these NLL offers is just by Googling or search on the website Doctor of Credit. That website is very good for finding different credit card links and if you want to find out what the high offers are out there.
Yeah, Serena, that's a great tip for people that are looking for those NLL offers. And we love those. Obviously, Miguel, thanks for telling everyone about what we were doing with the Platinum business cards. Now, another thing that I really think is important about American Express that I want to talk about tonight is with their charge cards, or they call it now their pay over time cards. To me, it's a charge card, whatever. I digress. Moving on. I think it's very important to know about this because it can really sweeten the sign-up offer for you. So with their pay over time cards like the American Express Green Card, the Gold Card, and Platinum Card, when you go through the application process, if approved, they're going to give you the option of selecting pay over time. My advice is not to accept it, and here's why. Because we've seen offers later down the road where American Express, they'll offer 10,000, 20,000, or maybe more membership reward points just for opting into this feature. So for example, I was so excited this weekend when I was paying the bills, and I never get excited when I pay my bills. Do any of you guys get excited when you pay your bills?
No.
I do.
Okay.
Honest to God, I do. It gives me a sense of completion, a sense of accomplishment. Just me? How about you, Miguel?
It's probably because you think you're running like a marathon and you're passing the finish line or something. But, yeah.
It feels like that. It was like,
Yet.
Yeah, I want to know your secret, Nicole. Why do you get excited? Because this is the most painful thing in my life is paying my bills.
it's just a sense of gratitude that I did spend the money and I do have the money to pay it off.
Good perspective, Nicole.
For me, it's trying to figure out what this charge is. Is it real? Is it fake? Is it fraudulent? I don't remember what this was. I hate going through all
When
that
did
stuff.
I go to Erewhon and spend $200? That charge?
Yeah.
Must have been when you went with Miguel.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Anyway, as I logged into my husband's American Express account this weekend, I got this pop-up offer saying if he opts in to paying over time on his gold card, that they're going to give him an additional 20,000 membership reward points. And I was like, oh, heck yeah, no problem. Done. I'm ready for the next bill. I'm in a good mood now. I can go pay the electric bill. That's what that meant to me. Super easy, 20,000 bonus points right there for just clicking a button on American Express. So look out for that. And when you apply for a card, make sure you don't opt into that. And then you look for it later down the road because it'll come. I promise you, it will come. The other thing that American Express offers is their Apply with Confidence tool. Now, this is something that's kind of new with American Express and it's been out recently. It's kind of landed our Serena and pop-up jail before. So let's talk about this. American Express, they've added this new tool that basically tells you if you will get approved or not, and if you will receive the welcome offer. It's pretty accurate, but it's not 100% fail-safe, but it's pretty good. Having a general working knowledge of American Express application rules is really helpful, but this tool, it's best to use it. So all you do, you log on to American Express, and it's not for all their cards, it's for most of them, but you want to make sure you use this tool before you apply, and here's why. Because if you're not sure if you've had a card before, or maybe it's the first time, or whatever it is, it's going to pop up and it's going to tell you that you're not eligible to receive this, and it's going to give you the opportunity to cancel the application and back out at that point, and it's not going to pull your credit. So it's really useful to use this tool before you apply for a card to check to see if you are going to get the welcome offer and you're going to get approved for the card. So Serena, you found this tool very helpful because you've been in pop-up jail before, right?
I'm still in pop-up jail, Mitch.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
But it's okay. I'm very thankful for that pop-up because it tells me whether I should continue with the application or not.
So last episode, you gave a really great talk about family travel and how you do it for your family. It's going to get better this time. You've got better stuff for us, right?
Yes, I'm going to expand on using points and miles for family travel for 4 or more people. For my credit card strategy, I am opening cards across my 4 players. That's me, my husband, and my parents. In part 1 of our beginner's guide, I talked about how I try to stick with the flexible currencies like American Express, Chase, Capital One, and Citi. In addition to these major credit card programs, I also like to focus on Alaska Airline credit cards and American Airline credit cards. This is because the major programs that I mentioned before do not transfer to Alaska or American. You can transfer Bilt points to Alaska Airlines, but I don't have a Bilt card yet. For me, having miles in these programs is important because award redemptions for Alaska and American international partner airlines like Qatar and Japan Airlines can be very valuable. So I like to have miles there just in case good award availability pops up. I'm not accumulating points in any of the other airlines like United, Delta, Southwest, or JetBlue because I can either transfer to those airlines from the major credit card programs or book them through a portal like Chase, Amex, or Capital One's portal. For redeeming points and miles, in part 1 of our beginner's guide, I talked about the best programs for hotel and flight redemptions when you're starting out with points and miles. And we talked about Southwest Airlines, especially with the Companion Pass program. Here are some additional tips I have for redeeming points and miles for family travel. So for accommodations, we mentioned how we like Chase points for transferring to Hyatt. Hyatt also offers a family rate at certain properties where you can get a second room for up to 50% off regular price. This is a great feature for big families with 2 or more children, and you can pay for your first room with points or cash and then get a deep discount for the second room for your children. Now, not all properties will offer this rate, and some properties may only allow children under a certain age in the second room. Aside from Hyatt, if you like vacation rentals, you can book Vacasa properties for between 15,000 and 30,000 points per night for a 1-bedroom. You can use Wyndham points to book Vacasa, and you can transfer Capital One points to Wyndham. Now for redeeming points and miles for flights. So I've talked about alerts before. I am a huge fan of Seats.aero alerts. If you're traveling around the school calendar, you can enter the dates for when you want to travel and the various regions you want to go to, and you can wait to see what award availability triggers. You'll get these alerts via email and via text if you choose to. The award calendar isn't even open for most airlines right now for next winter, but I already have alerts set up on Seats.aero. I have alerts set up on Seats.aero for December of 2025. I'm not talking about 2024. So I'm thinking ahead. Another resource is on Instagram. Our friend Find Flights for Me also has detailed posts about award availability, including how to search, how many points you need, what to expect, and date availability. You can also subscribe to award alerts. We have a link for Straight to the Points premium alerts where they publish business class award availability. Most recently, they sent emails for up to 8 seats flying in business class to London, Amsterdam, Rome, and Hawaii. Their email alerts detail how many points you need, what programs to book with, how to book, which dates are available, and what to expect about the flight experience. Another tip for award availability is to look at the airlines that tend to have a larger number of award seats. I mentioned in part 1 about Air France and KLM, Emirates, and Singapore Airlines. So to expand on these a little bit further, Air France and KLM's Flying Blue program is a good one. They routinely have up to 9 seats available in business class, and they have award rates one way from the US to Europe in business class for as low as 50,000 points. And they also offer a 25% discount on award tickets for children under 12. On Emirates, I've booked 3 Emirates award tickets using Air Canada Aeroplan miles, but I needed 6 tickets total. Aeroplan only had 3 seats available, but I was able to get the remaining 3 tickets I needed on the Emirates website. The same thing can hold true for flying Singapore Airlines. You might be able to book a few seats using Air Canada Aeroplan miles, and you may be able to find the remaining seats you need for the same flight on Singapore's website. Fortunately, all the major bank programs transfer to these airlines that I mentioned, and a good goal is to accumulate as many flexible currencies as you can so you can transfer to these partners when availability shows up. Another tip is timing. I find it best to have the points and miles you need already accumulated and ready to go a year in advance of when you want to go. Knowing when the award calendar opens up will also help too. So let's say you want to go to Japan, have those points ready a year in advance of when you want to go. Japan Airlines flights to Japan are available to book with Cathay Pacific Asia Miles first before British Airways or American Airlines has that availability. American Express, Citi, Capital One, and Bilt all transfer to Cathay Pacific. So you'll want to make sure you're accumulating those points so you can transfer to Cathay Pacific when you are ready. Booking Japan Airlines with American Airlines miles is the best deal, but award availability does not open to American Airlines until after Cathay Pacific gets that inventory. If you have firm dates and you know your school schedule, I always recommend going with the Cathay Pacific option, even if it means more points and more taxes and fees. And there are some things you can do in advance too. You want to join Cathay Pacific's loyalty program, which is free. Cathay requires you to nominate passengers in order to book awards for your family. It's a good idea to get that stuff set up in advance so you have it ready. Then practice doing searching and doing mock bookings so you become familiar with the website and what availability might look like. Another tip about award availability is family pooling. So I have family pooling set up with Air Canada Aeroplan, Air France KLM, Emirates, and JetBlue. With family pooling, I can transfer my Amex points to my Emirates account. My husband can transfer his points to his Emirates account. And my dad also has an Emirates account that he can transfer to. So together we have a family pool of points from which to book award tickets on Emirates. With Air Canada Aeroplan, they also have family pooling, but for now it's suspended, but they are planning to bring it back soon. So that's something that you want to look for and definitely sign up for that when they do bring it back. But a way around this issue is to set up authorized users with American Express. So for example, if my husband has an American Express Business Platinum account, and if I am named as an employee card on his account, he can transfer points to my Air Canada Aeroplan account. This needs to be set up 90 days in advance before you can transfer. So you might want to set that up ahead of time so it's ready to go. And then my last tip is to be flexible and creative. So one way to be creative is to split up. Some of you can fly in economy, some can fly in business, or your family can split up and fly business class on different days. I know not everyone will like this. This is definitely a family decision, but if you need to be somewhere by a certain day and that's the only option, then you might have to go this route. Another way to get creative is on positioning and routing. So as an example, I want to go to Asia for winter break. Finding 6 business class seats to Asia during winter break is not easy. And on the way there, I don't want to split my family up. So instead, I decided to go the long way. So we're going to fly to Europe first, spend some time there, and then head to Asia. Flying direct from the West Coast to Asia in business class for 6 people was not possible for the dates that I needed, but finding 6 business class seats from the West Coast to Europe and then from Europe to Asia was possible. This costs more points for sure, but I'm okay with that because I want us to stay together. These are some tips that I use when I am approaching points and miles for family travel for my family, and hopefully you will find it helpful. So another way to maximize your points is by using transfer partners. And Miguel, I think you have a lot to share about transfer partners, right?
Yes, Serena. So as a beginner, the easiest way to redeem points for travel is going through your bank's travel portal, which works much like Expedia or Orbitz. And that's a way to easily book trips, whether it's hotels, flights, rental cars. Booking through the travel portal doesn't require a lot of effort or a lot of strategizing. But when you start learning about the different transfer partners that each bank has, that's where you could really get some outsized value. I want to go over the different transfer partners for the 4 big banks that we usually talk about, which are American Express, Chase, Capital One, and Citi. There are other cards like the Bilt card and the Wells Fargo Autograph card that also transfer points to some of these banks, but I'm going to focus on the other 4. American Express membership reward points transfer to 18 airlines and 3 hotel brands. This is one of the banks that will give you a lot more options. American Express membership reward points transfer to the following airlines: Aer Lingus, Aeromexico, Air Canada Aeroplan, Air France KLM Flying Blue, ANA, Avianca Life Miles, British Airways, Cathay Pacific, Delta Airlines, Emirates, Etihad, Hawaiian, Iberia, JetBlue, Qantas, Singapore, and Virgin Atlantic. And American Express membership reward points transfer to the following hotels: Choice, Hilton, and Marriott. Capital One Venture Miles transfer to 15 airlines and 3 hotels. That is Aeromexico, Air Canada Aeroplan, Cathay Pacific, Avianca Life Miles, British Airways, Emirates, Etihad, EVA, Finnair, Air France KLM Flying Blue, Qantas, Singapore Airlines KrisFlyer, TAP Miles & Go, Turkish Airlines, and Virgin Red. Capital One Venture Miles transfer to the following hotels: Accor Live Limitless, Choice, and Wyndham. Chase Ultimate Reward Points transfer to 11 airlines and 3 hotels. The airlines are Aer Lingus, Air France KLM Flying Blue, Air Canada Aeroplan, British Airways, Emirates, Iberia, JetBlue, Singapore Airlines KrisFlyer, Southwest Airlines Rapid Rewards, United Mileage Plus, and Virgin Atlantic. And Chase Ultimate Rewards points transfer to the following hotels: our favorite, Hyatt, IHG, and Marriott. And with Citi credit cards, the only points you could transfer out to transfer partners are thank you points. We get some questions sometimes asking about the Citi Costco card, and that one earns cash back, so those are not transferable. But if you have a card that earns Citi thank you points, such as the Citi Premier or Citi Prestige, Citi thank you points transfer to the following airlines: Aeromexico, Avianca Life Miles, Cathay Pacific, Emirates, Etihad, EVA, Air France KLM Flying Blue, JetBlue, Qantas, Qatar Privilege Club, Singapore Airlines KrisFlyer, Thai Airways, Turkish Airlines, and Virgin Atlantic. And Citi Thank You points transferred to the following hotels: Accor Live Limitless, Choice, and Wyndham. In most of these cases, these points or miles would transfer at a 1-to-1 ratio, meaning you would transfer 1,000 points or miles, and they will become 1,000 points or miles in the airline or hotel loyalty program. However, they're not always 1-to-1. So you need to ensure you look at the ratio to see if any redemption makes sense for you. For example, when you transfer Citi Thank You points or Capital One Venture miles to Accor Live Limitless, you're transferring at a 2-to-1 ratio. That means that when you transfer 1,000 of your credit card points, you're only going to get 500 Accor points. I know that is a lot of information and it could seem a bit overwhelming. So what we're going to do next is we're going to highlight some of our favorite loyalty programs that are transfer partners to some of these credit card points that you may have. Let's talk about airlines. There are 3 main alliances of airlines that exist, that being Oneworld, Star Alliance, and SkyTeam. There are also some airlines that don't belong to any of these alliances. One thing that you should know is that you can often book an airline through one of their alliance members. For example, if you wanted to book an American Airlines flight, it's possible to book that using British Airways points because they both belong to the same alliance. So with that in mind, I want to start with Star Alliance. If you wanted to book a Star Alliance flight, these are the programs that I would look into: Air Canada Aeroplan, Avianca Life Miles, and Singapore KrisFlyer. The reason why I like these 3 airline loyalty programs is that because they're transfer partners of a lot of different credit cards. For example, you could transfer American Express membership rewards points, Bilt points, Capital One Venture miles, and Chase Ultimate Rewards points all into Air Canada. If you have points in American Express and in Chase, it's possible for you to transfer both of those into the same Air Canada Aeroplan program. Similarly, you could transfer American Express, Capital One, Citi Thank You points, and even Wells Fargo points into Avianca Life Miles. Into Singapore Airlines KrisFlyer program, you could transfer points from American Express, Capital One, Chase, and Citi Thank You points. Moving on to Oneworld, some of the loyalty programs or transfer partners that we use more often are British Airways, Qatar Airways, and Cathay Pacific. You can transfer points into British Airways from American Express, Bilt, Capital One, Chase, and Wells Fargo. However, they've done some devaluations and it is often now cheaper to book those same Oneworld flights through Qatar Airways Privilege Program. British Airways calls their point Avios, and they share this currency with Iberia and Qatar and Finnair now. So it is possible to combine those points. For example, you can only transfer points from American Express and Citi into Qatar's privilege program. But once you transfer your points into Qatar, you could combine those with your British Airways Avios account and they're now British Airways points. Cathay Pacific Asia Miles is another program within the Oneworld Alliance that allows you to transfer points from American Express, Bilt, Capital One, and Citi. Moving on to SkyTeam, there are 2 programs to which you could transfer from pretty much any credit card points. That's talking about American Express membership reward points, Bilt points, Capital One Venture miles, Chase Ultimate Reward points, Citi Thank You points, and Wells Fargo points. If you have any of those points, you could transfer them all into either Air France and KLM's Flying Blue program or into Virgin Atlantic. And that gives you a lot of options to book many different flights. Another interesting transfer partner is Emirates. Emirates Skywards Rewards program allows you to transfer points from American Express, Bilt, Capital One, Chase, or Citi. That is why Emirates is another good program to book for families, as Serena covered in the last segment. Out of all of these, Air Canada is one of my personal favorites because not only can you book other Star Alliance flights, but they have additional partners like Emirates, Etihad, and Oman Air. And to highlight some of the unique transfer partners that you can only transfer for one specific credit card points are, for example, you can only transfer into Delta or ANA from American Express. You can only transfer to TAP Air Portugal from Capital One. You can only transfer into Thai Airways from Citi, and you can only transfer into Southwest Airlines from Chase. One of our personal favorite transfer partners is, of course, Hyatt, and you can only transfer points from either Chase Ultimate Rewards or built into your Hyatt account. So I think that's why we all have Chase accounts, because none of us have the build card.
And you get more points with Chase.
Now let's talk about transfer bonuses and what strategies you may need to maximize your redemptions. Another way to level up your game with transfer partners is to take advantage of transfer bonuses. A transfer bonus is when a bank or a transfer partner gives you additional points for transferring points. For example, as of August 2024, there is a transfer bonus if you transfer American Express points over to British Airways. They are giving you a 30% transfer bonus. What does that mean? That means that if you transfer 1,000 American Express points over to British Airways, you're going to get a 30% bonus. So you're going to get a total of 1,300 points for every 1,000 that you transfer. This is a good way to pretty much get a discount on award redemptions. There's no way to predict what transfer bonuses are going to be offered by the banks or the transfer partners. But if you want to know and keep up with what transfer bonuses are ongoing, we send that out in our newsletter every Friday. So sign up for our newsletter if you haven't done so. Should you transfer points over to an airline or a hotel transfer partner only because there is a transfer bonus? No, you should only transfer points if there's a transfer bonus, but you also have a plan on how you're going to redeem those points. You have to have flexibility with your dates, with your destination. If you have confirmed that there's award availability for your flights or hotel that you want to redeem for, and there's a transfer bonus, then it's okay to go ahead and transfer those points. You could also do that in anticipation, but you should have a plan just in case they're devalued, because I recently transferred a lot of Citi points over to Virgin Atlantic, and they've devalued that program. And now I have less options on how I'm going to redeem those points. As an example of how a transfer bonus would work is, let's say you find availability to fly Air France business class from the US to Europe for 50,000 Air France KLM Flying Blue miles. Let's say there's a 25% transfer bonus if you transfer Citi points over to Air France. Instead of the 50,000 miles that you need, you would only need to transfer 40,000 miles, because 40,000 miles plus the 25% bonus you're getting on them, you would end up with the 50,000 miles that you need. So that is a very good discount when you're able to take advantage of a transfer bonus in addition to booking a flight that you found availability for.
So here's a little math tip for you. If you want to figure out how many points you need to transfer with the transfer bonus to attain a certain ticket. So in this example, the ticket was 50,000 miles. You're going to take the amount needed to purchase the ticket and divide it by 1.25, and that will tell you how many points you need to transfer. So Amex has a transfer bonus to British Airways, and so that transfer bonus is 30%. If you want to figure out how many points you need to transfer for that, you're going to divide the amount of points needed for the ticket by 1.3. When you make these transfers, you can only transfer in increments of 1,000 points. So if your ticket requires 25,500 points, you need to be able to transfer 26,000 points. No halfsies on this one.
Thank you, Miguel. That's a great overview. So I think that these two parts to our beginner's guide, part 1 from a few weeks ago, and then this show, part 2, are great starting points for beginners who want to start with points and miles. To round out part 2 of this beginner's guide, I've compiled some frequently asked questions that lots of people, subscribers and viewers, have asked us in the past. And I thought I would read them out and then you guys can jump in and answer them. Does that sound good?
I think you need to do it like a game show, Serena. You need to be a game show host. We need you as our host.
You have music, Mitch?
I'm ready. We've got music. Always got music.
You have a fishbowl.
Okay, ready? Here's the imaginary fishbowl. First question. My P2 is an authorized user. Can they still get the bonus for a credit card in their own name?
My answer to this is yes. James was an authorized user on my first ever travel card. That was a Capital One Venture X, and he did apply for his own card and receive the bonus.
When I was starting, we would add each other as authorized users, and then we would refer each other to that same card. But now that we're a little bit more advanced, we don't add each other as authorized users. But yeah, you can still get the bonus even if you're an authorized user on somebody else's account for that same card.
Great news. Okay, second question. Can I combine points and miles from different accounts?
It depends.
You got it, Miguel. Keep going.
The answer is it depends. It depends on the credit card issuer, or it depends on the airline or hotel loyalty program. For example, let's talk about American Express. Can you combine your American Express points with somebody else's American Express points? If that other person is an authorized user of any of your cards that earn membership reward points, you can combine not your American Express points, but you can actually transfer your American Express points into their airline or hotel loyalty program, as long as they're an authorized user. If you're talking about airline or hotel points, that also depends. I know the hotels are usually pretty good about combining points. Like with Hilton, you can combine your Hilton points with somebody else's Hilton points. Marriott, you can do the same thing. There are some limitations. You can only transfer 100,000 points out of your account every year. And our favorite, Hyatt, is pretty good about combining points, but it does take a little bit more work because you have to fill out a form and email it or fax it or something like an old-fashioned way. I wish it was a little more intuitive where you could do it online, but yeah, that's going to depend by the type of points that you're talking about.
Another example is the Avios currency. For example, you can combine Qatar Airways points along with British Airways points. Not all One World Alliance partners can be combined. I just wanted to give you a small example.
Another example is with Chase, and believe it or not, you can transfer Ultimate Rewards to another person if they're in your same household, which is basically your same address. So for example, say that you have a Chase Freedom card, you could transfer those over to their Chase account, and then you could combine those points as well. So that's one way that you could do it with Chase. I think not a lot of people know about that. I see that question come up often, but yeah, you can combine your Chase points.
You can also do that with Capital One. The only issue is you have to call in, but it's pretty quick.
And with Citi Thank You points, there is a feature called Combine Points, and you can combine your points with anyone else who earns Citi Thank You points. They don't have to live in your household. They don't have to be your friend, which I don't know why you would send it to anybody else, but you can combine your Citi Thank You points as well.
And then remember, there's always family pooling, which some airline and hotel programs have. And I talked about that earlier in the show. If you have multiple family members and you want to combine points into one account.
I think the best way to get a good answer to this question, Serena, is leave us a comment and just ask us, and we'll tell you if it works or not in the comments below.
Great idea. Leave us a comment if you have any questions.
That's the shortcut, cheap way to do it.
Cheap, very cheap. It's free.
It's free.
Okay, next question. If I close my credit card, will I lose all my points and miles?
Yes, you will. Don't close them ever. They're going in the trash.
To quote Miguel, it depends. Good question. So it depends on the bank. It depends on the partner. It depends on the airline. It depends on the hotel. It depends on whoever. So just as an example, we can take American Express, since I talked about that a little bit earlier tonight. So if you closed all your American Express cards that were membership rewards earning accounts, yes, you will lose your points. So a good example, what a lot of people tend to do to keep their membership reward points alive at American Express, if you close or open an account, to open an American Express Blue Business Card, because it has no annual fee, and the points, they will be able to live forever and not expire, because that membership rewards account attached to your Blue Business Card will keep your American Express points alive. So it depends. That's how you can do it with American Express.
If you decide to close a card like American Express that earns membership reward points, what you could do is transfer those out to a transfer partner, because points at an airline or hotel, those points or miles are going to be attached to that airline or hotel loyalty program and not your American Express account.
Yeah, I remember when I had my first Southwest card and it was time to close it, I was so afraid. I think I read like 4 or 5 blogs before I actually closed the card, but then I realized that the points would stay with Southwest and not with the credit card. So have no fear. Close away.
And remember to let us know in the comments if you have questions about a specific program, because we might have personal experience. Okay, next question. Can I use my points and miles to book a flight for someone else when I'm not flying?
Yes. On British Airways, you can, but there's a caveat. They have to be a part of your family. And by family is defined by how many people you add into your account. If you're booking from someone's account that is not the owner of the account, that person needs to be a part of your family group on British Airways. I learned that the hard way.
I think with most programs, you're able to book for other people, even if you're not flying, or you could book for yourself if they're not flying. I often do that when I have points in my Player 3 or Player 4's account, and they have to transfer their points over to their loyalty program. And then I'll book a flight for myself using their points in their name in their loyalty account.
So to summarize, it sounds like for the most part, yes, but with some programs you might have trouble. Like for example, British Airways, as Nicole mentioned. Turkish is another one where you could run into hiccups when you're booking for other people. Okay, next question. Do points and miles expire?
It depends.
You're not allowed to say that anymore, Miguel.
It really does, though. But with points expiration, I think there's three kind of different types of expiration policies. Number one being they never expire. There's airlines like United Airlines where the miles will never expire no matter what. Then you have the other phase, which is they expire if there's no activity within a set period of time, say 36 months. With these type of expiration policies, if there's no activity within, say, 2 or 3 years, your points or miles could expire. So what you want to do in those instances is transfer 1,000 points or make a purchase on a card or do something to keep those miles or points from expiring. And the third type is that there is a hard expiration policy. So some of these airlines like ANA, for example, have a policy where your points or miles will expire in a set period, say 36 months. They will expire. It's use them or lose them.
So that's a good example, Miguel, because I am in that boat right now with ANA. So pre-COVID, I had transferred all these points over to ANA to book a bunch of stuff. Got really fortunate. They extended those points as we kind of went through COVID. And now we're in that phase of where they're not extending them anymore. And I got 30,000 some ANA points that are going to expire by the end of the year. So yes, the answer to the question is, yeah, they expire. So if anyone's got any good ideas on what to do with 30,000 ANA points, let me know.
Mitch, where are you going with 30,000?
If you can book something for me, I'll give you some ideas.
Yeah, you have to fly an economy for 30,000.
Oh, no, that's not going to happen. I'll let them expire.
That's of course you would.
Of course. Yeah.
Next question. If I pay my federal income taxes with a credit card, there is a fee. Is it worth it to pay that fee and get the points with my credit card?
My answer would be if you're working on a minimum spend. If you're not working on a minimum spend, Capital One Venture X is 2 times the points. If not, you could put it on an American Airlines card, earn some points towards status. So yeah, go ahead and use that credit card to pay the tax.
I think Nicole's thinking about how she's going to be earning her AA status.
I think that the light bulb just went off.
I know. I think it's going on in her head right now.
There are a few services that allow you to pay your income tax liability, such as Pay USA Tax or Pay 1040, and they usually charge you about 2% of whatever the charge is to pay your taxes. Now, if you want to know if it's worth it, you have to know if the points or miles that you would earn from this transaction exceed 2% of what you're paying. So one example is a sign-up bonus. If you're working on a sign-up bonus, most of the time that's going to be worth more than 2% of return that you're going to get. But if you're not working on a minimum spending requirement, yeah, you have to evaluate whether the points that you would earn from this transaction would exceed 2% because that's the charge that you're paying to pay your taxes with a credit card.
Okay, last question. How do you keep track of your credit cards and your points and miles? I'll go first. I use good old spreadsheet because I don't trust or like any of the third-party options that are out there to keep track of my credit cards and points and miles. And I'm dealing with 4 players. So I find that just keeping track of my own spreadsheet is what I'm happy with.
Same. I have a spreadsheet and that's how I keep track of it too. I do have an account with the Word Wallet and that's been helpful in reminding me when any of my free night certificates or some of my points might expire, because with a Word Wallet, you log into your accounts and they pretty much keep track of any activity with your loyalty account. So that's something that you might want to look into.
Yeah, Miguel, I kind of do the same thing. I kind of do this hybrid method. I use a Word Wallet a little bit for my points, but then I get kind of lazy and I don't want to refresh it and update it. So I just kind of keep them up in my head. So I use the head Word Wallet method to keep track of my points. And then you end up in this position of where you got 30,000 ANA points that are going to expire and you don't know what to do. So maybe I need to do a better job of keeping track of my points and miles. But when it comes to trips, now I am good at that. I use the app Tripit and I put all my trips in there, and I love that app because it kind of keeps track of everything, all my reservations, all my bookings. You know, it lets me know if something's kind of changed or with it or something. So yeah, Tripit, it's great for keeping track of my trips, but points, I need to get better at that.
Mitch, do you use anything to keep track of your 28 credit cards?
I use the bank when I log in and I see them all there. I mean,
Post-it notes.
Yeah, post-it notes. It's funny you asked that. I found this really good spreadsheet. This has been years ago and I've used for a really long time, and it calculates everything, and I kind of have it broken down by banks, right? So I have Chase, Citi, and I list all of them on that spreadsheet along with the last four of the credit card number. That's kind of how I keep track of them, and I cross-reference that when I log into the bank. So yeah, that's how I do that.
You guys are hilarious. So I use this app. It's called On a Wing and on a Prayer. I also use the Notes app, which is like, have you ever seen that meme with this guy trying to explain this thing and there's like thread going everywhere? Yes, mine looks similar to that. Something like this on the background. I log in and I'm like, oh, I have about 193,000, and pray to God the next time I log in, I remember what the number was the last time. It's been working so far. Like, I want to use a spreadsheet, and I started out, I color coded, I have all the tabs. And then when I'm like doing something on the fly, like I'm pulling over on the side of the road to book something, I'm not opening up the spreadsheet. And by the time I get home, I forget. You know what helps me remember? It's running. I will be literally in the middle of a run and be like, oh, I have 160,000 Virgin Atlantic miles. I need to figure out what to do it. Thanks, Miguel.
Nicole, you forgot to talk about your favorite tool. It's the alarm on your phone.
Oh my God. That is also very helpful. But I do use Travel Freely to keep track of when minimum spends are due and when annual fees are coming up. That is very helpful.
So this wraps part 2 of our beginner guide. And if you were a beginner, or if you're intermediate, or if you're advanced, one of the great ways to learn more about points and miles is to go to meetups. And we are going to be hosting a meetup in Los Angeles on Saturday, December 7th. And we think it will be a fun time. We have lots of great things planned for that evening. We will have the RSVP link in the show notes. Check it out and look at the details. We would love for you to join us.
I love talking about these beginner things. I remember 2 years ago, this is what got me into the game, watching YouTube videos, sending comments. So if you have a question, something we didn't cover today or something that you were not sure about, please leave us a comment below. We'll be happy to answer any of the questions that you have, and let us know if you want a more advanced beginner episode. Please let us know in the comments. We'll be happy to do it for you.
It's a great idea, Nicole, because we all know the comments is where the real juicy stuff is. So get it in the comments and leave us one down there below. All right. Thank you, everyone. That's it for now. And I want to thank all of our hosts. It's Serena.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Miguel.
Later.
And we're going to see you next week, Nicole, but not in Paris, right?
I don't know. Maybe. Oui.
And I'm Mitch Shannon. Make sure you sign up for our email newsletter. Just snap the QR code right now on your screen for the latest and everything going on in the points and miles world. And we're going to see you here next Friday. Thank you for watching and listening.
Let's get to the points.com.